Welcome, and in this lesson you will learn how to politely make a request and ask permission. When making requests, you might say, "Would you close the door?" or "Would you mind closing the door?" In these situations, the speaker wants you to do something for him or her. When asking permission to do something, you might say, "May I borrow a pen?" or "Would you mind if I left early?" In these situations, the speaker wants to do something but is asking you to say okay or not. Let's look at some other forms that are also making requests from you. Will you tell me your name? And could you spell that for me? When making requests, you can use would you, will you, could you, and can you. Then we add the main verb in the simple form, which means it doesn't have s or es, ed, or ing on the end. Then add the object with a question mark at the end. That is how to make a polite request. In these examples, the verbs are in the simple form: close, tell, pass, and spell. Notice the verbs do not end with s, ed, or ing. Then we need the object, what gets the action of the verb, and the question mark. The most polite question forms used will be would you and will you. This is how you might request something from a stranger, boss, or teacher. The less polite forms use could you and can you. These forms you would use with friends and family. You can also add please at the end of your question. Please makes the question even more polite, but it is not needed since would you, will you, could you, and can you already make the question polite. Let's look at possible answers to these kinds of polite requests. If someone asks you, "Would you close the door?" you could answer, "Certainly." "I'd be happy to." "Of course." "Sure, no problem." Less formally, you could answer, "Here you go," or simply "Yes." If you refuse a request, we often don't simply say no, because it is considered rude and impolite. Since we were asked politely, we want to answer politely. So we can't use no without more information. So if you say no to a request, follow it with "I'm sorry," or even better, give a reason for your refusal like, "No, I'm sorry, but I can't reach it." Or just a reason such as, "I can't right now." Another way to make a request is using would you mind, followed by the main verb in present participle, which is made by adding ing to the end of the verb, and then the object of the verb and the question mark. So for example, you could ask, "Would you mind closing the door?" And a possible answer is "Certainly." Or, "Would you mind telling me your name?" Could be answered with, "I'd be happy to." Or you could ask, "Would you mind passing me the salt?" and be refused, for instance, "No, I'm sorry." Or, "Would you mind spelling that for me?" and be refused with, "Sorry, I can't." Now let's look again at the polite way for asking permission. When politely asking for permission, we use these forms. May I? Could I? Can I? With the main verb in the simple form again, followed by the object and the question mark. In these examples, the verbs in the simple form are borrow, have, and open. Notice that the verbs do not end in s, ed, or ing. Then we have the object, what gets the action of the verb, and the question mark. The most polite question forms are may I and could I. The less polite form is can I. So for any of these requests for permission, we could answer positively by saying, certainly, or of course, also, sure, no problem, and here you go, or a simple yes. But again, if you are refusing your permission, then no is considered rude and impolite, so we like to say, no, I'm sorry, or not right now, sorry, or give a reason why we cannot help, such as, I don't have one. Another way we could ask permission is by using would you mind if, followed by the main verb in the simple past form, either with ed ending or irregular past form, followed by the object and question mark. If you asked, would you mind if I left early, you might get a response such as, not at all, or would you mind if I made a call, and here, no, of course not. Would you mind if I asked a question? Might be answered with, no, that would be fine. But if you ask, would you mind if I close the door, and someone doesn't want you to, you might get the answer, I would prefer you didn't. Or would you mind if I borrowed your phone? But the person you're asking refuses, he or she may answer, I would rather you didn't. But if you ask, would you mind if I turned off the light? An answer such as yes, I do is too direct and considered impolite, so we don't like to use it. Here is a special note about answering would you mind questions. The answer often confuses learners of English, but remember, would you mind means does it bother or annoy you? So if you answer positively, your answer means no, it doesn't bother me. But if you answer negatively, it means yes, it bothers me. In this lesson, you learned how to politely make a request and ask permission.